Hi, I'm Robbie Benson, and welcome to Joel Asher's Actors at Work video. Now, if you're an actor, you already know that you have to get the part before you can play the part. And that usually means the dreaded audition. Auditioning is a process with a few different elements, and we're going to show you all of those elements on this tape. First, we're going to see Joel Asher's acting class on cold readings, so you can develop simple, effective techniques for doing your best work in the shortest amount of time. This is that critical first step to getting the part. For the interview portion, we've brought in casting director Joey Paul. And Joey and Joel will discuss how actors should approach what is called a general interview. Then some actors in the class will try out some of these techniques so you can see how they work. Next, one of the actors in the class will get a callback to come in and read with me, and you'll find out how the callback is very different from the cold reading. Now let's visit Joel Asher's cold reading class.
Lola, this is very hard for me.
What's this all about?
Lola, we've got to make some changes. I'm sorry, I couldn't even find my place on the page. Okay, all right. I hate when that happens.
Yes, isn't that terrible?
Sorry, Joel. Sorry, Don.
When you get lost or something else happens that throws your concentration, let it happen to the character. This is your audition. They want you to do well. And if you're in charge, you give them the feeling that you can do not only this part, but anything that they need from you. Okay?
Okay.
Cold readings. Nobody likes them. Casting directors don't like them. Actors certainly don't like them. Producers don't like them. So why do we do them? They're unfair. They're inaccurate as a way of casting something. You never have enough time. Seldom do you get the whole script. But what they're really there for isn't the cold reading itself. What they're really there for is to show who you are as a person and what do you do as an actor. The biggest thing that gets in your way, of course, is tension. So you need to get some simple, clear, and fast techniques that you can use so that the stuff that you really do as an actor, the techniques that you really have as an actor are going to come through. That way they can see who you are and what it is you do. What you want to do is behave as though you really are this character in these circumstances. That's what they're looking for. Do you fit into the world of this script? So that's where we want to start. The way you do that is to look at the script, and when you're reading it, let it affect you on a gut level so that your intuition begins to fire your imagination. There are a few ways of doing this. You can look at the style of the scene. Is it a heavy emotional scene? Does it make you laugh? Does it make you sad? What does it do to you? Another way to look at it is in terms of the character. What kind of a person is this? Can you feel who the person is? Because when you walk in there, you want to have a sense, this is me, this is what I do. So you want to look for those aspects of yourself that you can get out of this script. You ready? Let's start. Dean and Donna, I have a scene for you about a wife confronting her unfaithful husband.
Didn't she feed you?
Pardon?
The slut you were with last night. Doesn't she know how to cook?
Don't start in. I told you I was working.
Do you think I'm stupid? I called your office every 15 minutes until 2 a.m.
I didn't answer the phone because I was working in the warehouse. And I didn't call because I was hurrying to get finished.
You're lying.
What do you want? Do you want me to leave?
Leave? No. I want to work this out.
Maybe I should move out for a while.
Are you moving in with her?
There is no one else. I just think we could use some time apart for a while.
Donna, how does the scene affect you?
Well, she seems like she's maybe a housewife. That's what she does. And
yes.
She doesn't confront him very often, and it's probably been going on for a long time.
You're intellectualizing the scene. You don't have time to do that.
Okay.
I'm looking for a gut-level reaction.
Gut reaction.
What does it do to you?
It makes her angry. Angry.
How angry?
Angry enough to confront him. Angry enough to do something she's never done before.
Do something she's never done before. That's risky.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
So you really need to get something going underneath the scene. It's not about shouting.
Right. It's
about the feeling underneath it. That's what you want to connect to.
Okay.
Let's try that and do it again.
Okay. Didn't she feed you?
Pardon?
The slut. The one that you were with last night. Doesn't she know how to cook?
Don't start in. I told you I was working.
Do you think that I'm crazy? You think I'm stupid? I called you every 15 minutes until 2 a.m.
I didn't answer the phone because I was in the warehouse, and I didn't call because I was hurrying to get finished.
You're lying.
What do you want? Do you want me to leave?
Leave? No. I want to work this out.
Maybe I should move out for a while.
Are you moving in with her?
There is no one else. I just think that we could use some time apart.
Where are you going?
I'll call you later.
Once you connect to the material, your imagination fills in all kinds of things for you, and then different acting values start happening on their own. But first, you need to make that connection. It's a good idea when you're looking at the script for the first time. If you get that gut response to it, write it down. Just a couple of words. Articulate it for yourself. That way you'll be sure to do it when you get up here to audition. Now you know how to get your imagination involved in this. Good. But that's not all there is to it. There's another part of it. There's a part of your brain that can figure out what the scene is all about. You can break it down. Well, there isn't time to do a long, in-depth script analysis, but there is time to at least give it a beginning, a middle, and an end. The easiest point to find is the end of the scene, because that's where the scene goes. That's what it's about. It's the scene where your character leaves forever, or this is the moment at the end when, there is the kiss and the fade to black, and so we know they're lovers. Whatever happens in the scene, it happens at the end. Once you've identified that, then look at the beginning of the scene. See how the beginning of the scene is different from the end. It starts off before the event of the scene has happened to the character. So before that has happened, you're in a different condition. And the middle would be the climax of the scene. The climax is the high point, and actually it's not exactly at the middle. The climax is usually about 2/3 of the way through. If you're doing a comedy or a mystery, you're going to be able to spot it in one specific moment. If you're doing a drama, it's a little subtler and it happens over the course of a few lines. But look for it anyway, because that's the point where the scene stops being what it was at the beginning and starts becoming what it gets to at the end. Take a look at the script in these terms, and let's try one. You guys have a scene about a couple of bumbling robbers sitting in their parked car outside the bank. Let's see how that works.
Okay. Here we are. Tell me again what you do.
I read the paper holding it up so nobody can see my face.
Yeah.
Engine's off.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody comes, I don't let them park in front. I see you coming, I start the engine. What if a cop comes?
Nobody's gonna bother you. You're parked legally.
You got any change?
For what?
The meter.
Can't you think of anything yourself? Why do I take you along?
I didn't want to come. I told you I didn't want to come. You want me to leave?
You got no change?
No, I didn't think of it. Got $1.
Great. That's just great. Now what are we gonna do?
I could go in the bank and get some change.
You dummy! Oh, here comes the meter lady. Nate, let's get out of here.
Okay. That seems a lot of fun.
It is.
Got $1, Jeff?
I didn't want to reach in my pockets. Tight pants,
Got it.
So, yeah, here's $1.
Okay. So you don't need to bring in a whole storeroom of furniture and props to an audition. But if there's some one simple thing that's called for, and it's the kind of thing that you might have on you, bring it in. You can use it, and you can make something of that.
Right.
Rick, what happens in the scene for you? Where does it go? How does it change?
Well, I think the character's very methodical. He's trying to go over the stuff so nothing goes wrong, but of course, disaster strikes.
Ah, where does disaster strike?
Disaster, the first level of disaster strikes as soon as I realize we don't have any change.
Okay, is that the climax of the scene, or is there another point that seems stronger?
Well, the biggest thing is the meter maid.
If you use the meter maid as the climax of the scene,
Wow.
you're going to be doing the beginning of the scene all the way through until very, very near the end, so that just becomes a tag.
Right.
What you want to get to, if your gut reaction is telling you this is the scene where disaster strikes, then you want to do what we were just talking about and look at how the scene changes from the beginning to the end. Mm-hmm. What happens in the scene is the disaster, and the disaster that's somewhere around the middle of the scene is the one about change. That would be the climax for you.
Right.
What we'd need to see now is the character who has a good plan at the beginning because it's disaster at the end. Mm-hmm. Let's try it again and see if we can use that.
Okay. Here we are. Tell me again what you do.
I read the paper, holding it up in front of my face.
Right.
Engine off. Mm-hmm. And anybody comes, I don't let them park in front. Mm. I see you coming, I start the engine. What if a cop comes?
Nobody's gonna bother you. You're parked legally.
You got any change?
For what?
Meter.
Can't you think of anything yourself? Why did I have to take you along?
Well, I didn't want to come. I told you I didn't want to come. You want me to leave?
You got no change?
No! I didn't think of it. Got $1.
Great. That's just great. Now what are we gonna do?
Maybe I could go into the bank and get some change.
You dummy! Oh, here comes the meter maid. Let's get out of here!
Okay. That's much better. See the difference? You really make note of it, and those are the moments you want to hit. You see, once you've got a plan, that gives you something to do. It doesn't mean that you need to follow it slavishly, as though this is the only thing that's ever going to happen. You still want to let your intuition take over. You still want to find that spontaneity. But if you have made note of this, either mentally or right on the page, then there's a much better chance that the moments that you want to hit, the things that you want to show them that you understand about the scene, those are really going to happen. Let's go back on what we've done. First thing you did was to try to get a gut reaction to the material so that it can really stimulate your imagination and get you going. Second thing we did was to try to make a plan and figure out where the scene goes. Sometimes you can get these things done and you still have more time. Well, let's use this time effectively. Let's go further. What we're looking for is for you to feel and behave and speak and everything else spontaneously the way this character does. Behavior, that's the key word. Once you've read the scene over and you've got that gut reaction, express it. Express it in some abstract sound or movement. probably a good idea to do this in private because you don't want to feel silly when you're doing it. But go someplace where you can just make a sound and let that sound carry through to your body. It's going to stimulate you in interesting and unsuspecting ways. Sometimes it's not easy to connect that way. Well, there's a way you can try to help yourself along. Give the character a nickname, such as the princess, or the stud, or anything that's going to make you come alive a little more in this character. You can do the same thing for the whole scene. This is the scene where it all falls apart. This could be the scene where finally you get what you're after. So what is that called in terms of this scene? See, it's just a couple of words, and they can make your acting deeper, richer, and fuller, just in an instinctive and intuitive way. Let's try it. Let's get a couple of people up here. We have a scene with a couple where he's trying to get back together with her.
Janie.
Look, I don't know what you want, but whatever you say, I probably won't believe you anyway.
Janie, I've been a fool.
Can't disagree with that.
I've hurt you. I wish I could take it all back. Come on.
Nick, no.
I want to make it work with you. I know there'll never be anyone like you.
Nicky, it's too much to ask.
Tell me you have no feelings for me and I'll never bother you again. Please. Please.
I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't.
Nice, let's stop here for a second. Jeff, is there a sound that goes with this character for this scene?
Yeah, I didn't do it though. I had a thought, but I didn't do any sound.
Really express it. Can you do it right now?
Yeah.
What's the sound? Can you put a movement together with that sound? Stand up. Bigger. Same thing, just bigger,
Yeah.
both physically and vocally. Okay, good. Carry that into the scene with you. Stacy?
Yes.
Is there a name of this scene or
The meltdown.
The meltdown?
Meltdown.
Wow. Nuclear disaster.
Yeah.
Like all her defenses are crumbling. Oh, that's nice. Hang on to that idea and let's see what that does to the scene.
Janie?
Look, I don't know what you want, but whatever you say, I probably won't believe you anyway.
Janie, I've been a fool.
Can't disagree with that.
I've hurt you. I know. I wish I could take it all back.
Nick, no.
Look, I want to make it work with you. I know there'll never be anyone as good as you.
Nick, please, it's too much to ask.
Please, just tell me you have no feelings for me. And I'll never bother you again. Just tell me.
Oh, can't believe I'm doing this.
Okay, stop it there. Did you hear that? That sound that Jeff found? It happened in the scene.
Mm-hmm.
That really helped you.
Yeah.
That's a good sense of what this character's going through. How about you? What did that meltdown idea do for your acting?
It helped.
You seemed a lot richer physically.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, there's an interesting thing that happened. The first time through, when you were reaching for her hand, you were doing it in a very strong way.
Yeah.
Once you got in touch with what's going on inside the character, what you did was gentler.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed to fit in more with what was happening instinctively for you. You got a fuller sense of the character. You see, that's how this kind of thing can happen. You don't plan that kind of thing. But the more intuitive you can be about this character and where the character lives, where he or she is coming from, the more the behavior is going to fit all of a piece. And then we're going to have a much better chance of believing that you're this character you're auditioning for. Okay, thank you very much. So it's time to go in and do the audition. But you don't know the lines. Well, what can happen is that the tension of having to find the words and act and do all of these things at the same time can keep what you're really trying to do from coming out and communicating. You need to stay off the script when you're talking. So don't read and talk at the same time. Read when the other person's talking, and then talk to them. When the other person's talking, that's when you can read. So, when they begin speaking to you, look down at this page, get your line, come off the page before the end of the cue line, react to the line, say your line, stay with the other person so that you can see what effect your line had, and then you go back to the page again, pick up your line, you're ready to do it again. Got it? It takes some practice. When you begin, you're going to be coming up and down a lot of times. But practice reading out loud. You need to develop that eye coordination. You can get there. It's just a mechanical thing. It's easy compared to the rest of acting. We have a scene where a couple of con artists meet again at a party.
So what are you doing here?
Look, I don't want to make casual conversation with you, especially here.
Fine. Can I ask you a non-casual type of question?
I'd rather not.
What is it with you? I'm not gonna jump on your bones in the onion dip, for Christ's sake.
You always had a way with words, Frank. Now, if you don't mind, I'm trying to do some business and you're in my way.
Okay, let's hold it there a second. Dean, there's a point here where you have just one-word answers, like who. These real short answers you can probably pick up as you glance at the line above it, so you don't have to go back down to the page again. There's another point where there is this joke about the onion dip. At least it's intended to be a joke. If you go back to the page during a joke, you're going to kill your laugh.
Okay.
So when you have a line like that where the words are important as they are in comedy, that's something you really want to get the whole piece of it and then just look at her and say the line. Candy, you've got a long speech in here, well, relatively long speech, where there are more things to say than you can pick up in just one glance at the speech. When you do that, you're going to need to say the beginning of the line, and then you'll need to stay in character as you go back down to the page again to pick up the rest of the line so that you can say another idea. Try to get a whole idea if you can. The scenes we've been doing so far have been scenes where we've used two actors. And a lot of the casting directors that you'll read for are good readers who are sensitive to the actor's needs, and some casting directors employ readers who are actors themselves and can give you something to respond to. But a lot of the time, you're not going to be so lucky. There are going to be times when you're auditioning with somebody who is saying the words fast and flat, no acting values. So what do you do then? You listen. You use the words they're giving to you, and those words mean something to you. Don't get trapped into not doing your acting work because the person reading against you isn't acting with you. Listen to what's being said and respond to it. Let's get a couple of people here and try it. We have a scene for two women who are both in love with the same guy. So, Donna, let's have you be the casting director who just reads flat and fast. And Candy, let's see how you respond to that.
Are you all right?
I'm really worried. It's probably nothing.
What?
Lenny, he's been weird lately. Well, this morning I asked if he liked my hair. You know what he said?
What?
Nothing. Well, he didn't even look, which is really strange, you know, because he notices every detail. He just...
Mary, there's something I have to tell you.
Well, maybe, you know, maybe it's his work. He's working on this movie, and he has this love scene with this beautiful...
Mary, we're engaged to be married.
Who?
Me and Lenny. We've been having an affair.
But Lenny hates you.
I've wanted to tell you for weeks, but you know Lenny. He didn't want to hurt your feelings.
All right. Candy, she's just told you that she's going to marry the guy that you're in love with. That's important. Let the importance of that affect you. The idea of it. We're engaged to be married. That's what's got to make the change.
Okay.
Let's try it again and see if we can't do that.
All right. Lenny, he's been really weird lately. This morning, I asked if he liked my hair. You know what he said?
What?
Nothing. He didn't even look. Which is really strange, you know, because he notices everything, every last detail. He
Mary,
just...
There's something I've got to tell you.
No, but you know, maybe it's his work. He's making this movie, and he's doing this love scene with this really beautiful...
Mary, we're engaged to be married.
Who?
Me and Lenny. We've been having an affair.
Lenny hates you.
I've wanted to tell you for weeks, but you know Lenny. He didn't want to hurt your feelings.
Okay, much better. You can do in your imagination the most outrageous things. You can make decisions about the other character, particularly if the person reading opposite you isn't giving you much to respond to. You can use your imagination to put on that other person, let's say, a naked body if you want to be lustful in a scene, or maybe something silly if it needs to be that kind of a scene. If it's a scene that's supposed to frighten you, then you can see that other character as being terrible, fire breathing out of their nose. You see, all of these things can help get your imagination going, and only you know about it. It's just there for your own creativity. Let's review cold readings. When you first read a script, look for your gut reaction to it. Plan to give it a beginning, a middle, and an end. To get deeper into it, express your feelings with a sound and movement. Nickname the character. Title the scene. And when you're auditioning, stay out of the script. Then respond to the words and your imagination. Some of the time, a cold reading leads to a callback, which means you're one of the chosen few that they want to see again. We're going to try one now. Jeff Doucette has a callback. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Joel.
You had a chance to look at the script some more?
Yeah, I have.
Good. You're making some of the choices a little stronger, a little deeper?
Yeah, I've tried to, and I think it's worked.
You know you want to do the same performance for the callback that you did for the cold reading, because that's why they brought you in.
Right.
But that doesn't just mean repeating the same line readings and the same movements. The other thing that you have to keep fresh is those impulses, the things that go on underneath it.
Yeah, all the fun you have with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The thing that's going to be different in the callback than you had in the cold reading is that now you've got another actor to work with. So to keep that fresh and alive, you really want to pay attention to what Robbie's doing and let that affect you.
Right.
Okay?
Of course, I will.
I think Joey's here. Hi, Joey.
Hi, Joel. How you doing?
Good. You remember Jeff Doucette?
Of
Yeah,
course.
hi, Joey.
You ready for
See
your
you again.
callback?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Break a leg, Jeff.
Thanks.
Today you'll be doing your scene with Robbie Benson. Jeff Doucette, this is Robbie Benson.
Hi, Robbie.
Hi, how you doing?
You ready?
Yeah, are you ready?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do the scene.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, we're here. Tell me again what you're gonna do.
I'm gonna read the paper, holding it up so nobody sees my face.
Yes.
Engine off. Anybody comes, I don't let them park in front. And I see you coming,
Yeah.
I start the engine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
Hey, what if a cop comes?
Oh, hey. There's nothing to worry about. We're parked legally. Nothing to worry about. Right?
Right.
All right.
All right. Hey,
What?
you got any change?
For what?
The meter.
You've got to be kidding. You didn't bring any change?
No. I didn't think of it.
Why did I bring you along?
Hey,
My God!
Hey, I didn't want to come. I told you I didn't want to come. You want me to leave?
So you have no change?
No, I didn't think of it.
Oh, man.
I got $1.
It's great. $1. What good is $1 gonna do us? You're gonna shove the dollar right into the meter?
Hey, maybe I could go into the bank and get some change.
You dummy! God! Oh my God! Don't look over there. It's a meter maid. Let's get out of here.
That's a callback. Did you see how Jeff responded to Robbie's choices? Now let's talk about interviews. An important part of the audition process is the general interview, where it's just you and a casting director talking one-on-one, and you're just being yourself. So we have with us today independent casting director Joey Paul. Hi, Joey.
Hi, Joel. How you doing?
Okay, let's talk about the interview.
Okay.
I think one of the most important parts of an interview is making a friend. It's a technique that you can always use. How would you go about doing that?
I think it's most important that when an actor comes in that they be very relaxed, with lots of energy. And sometimes to do both at the same time is very difficult.
Yeah.
So if you can just trust that you can be your best self and warm and polite, yet not overdoing it, then you go with the flow, and hopefully that will communicate and you will make a friend.
A technique that I've used sometimes is what's called mirroring. And actors can do that in some very interesting ways. You can either physically mirror another person so that the two of you have similar postures. I'm not talking about mimicking. It doesn't have to be exactly, you know, one person scratches their eye, so you scratch your eye. But if you get yourself physically in the same condition as the other person, you can even mirror breathing. I find that this works well because it allows actors to get the focus off of themselves, so they're not so literally self-conscious, and get the focus onto the person they're talking to.
I think to mirror one's personality is where you're going to get the most mileage. Hopefully you can find something in common with that casting director, and then you're sort of off and running. You know?
I see. That's a great idea. If you mirror a person's personality, then what you can also do is get involved in the other person emotionally. So that if they're feeling, you know, sedate and businesslike, you go in and you're not all over the place and bubbling and making a fool of yourself.
I think it's a really great objective for an actor to be able to get the casting director to talk about themselves. People like to talk about themselves. I mean, no matter where you go, who you are, who you're talking to, people like to talk about themselves. So if you can get a casting director to share with you about themselves, maybe reminisce about something about themselves, they've then shared something private, and they trusted you enough to speak to you that way. I think you'll have better chances of them remembering you than if they felt that they shared something with you, as opposed to them being there as a sounding board for you to say, I'm this, I'm not that, I've done this, I'm from such and such, and da-da-da-da-da, you know?
It's a great idea, but it sounds tricky, because a lot of the questions that actors get from casting directors are these general questions like, well, tell me something about yourself, or what have you been doing lately? Is it a good idea to have some prepared anecdotes?
I think that they can work to your advantage. What I think works best is maybe if you have a couple of different anecdotes, but then not planning, thinking like ahead before you walk in the door, well, when I go in there, I'm going to tell XYZ anecdote.
Sure.
But to have maybe a few anecdotes, and then depending on the personality of the person that you meet with, you can select one that you think might be appropriate for that time.
Good advice. Interviews tend to be dynamic, too. They're not the same when you leave as they were when you came in. The same with scenes. So that if an actor can pay attention to how it's changing, whether it's becoming more friendly or more formal, what areas it's going into, that can be useful too. What about questions? Is it appropriate to ask casting directors questions?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that that's where interviews probably go astray, is an actor walking in expecting that the casting director is going to have a list of questions that they ask in a typical general interview. If you can go in thinking that in some nice, natural way you're going to entertain them, I think you'll get a lot farther than just walking in and expecting them to reel off a list of questions so that they can find out about you.
Entertain them. That's a good catchword, as though you were inviting somebody into your home and had to make them feel comfortable.
Yeah, and that's a great analogy, as if you were inviting them into your home, because a lot of times you can misconstrue the idea of entertaining someone, again, can push you over the edge to wanting to be on in a way. But psychologically, if you could think you were entertaining them in your home, even though you're in their environment, if you could take that twist on it, I think you'll be very successful.
It sounds like the rule of thumb would be to really be responsive to the other person and pay attention and do what seems welcome at the time so that you can make that kind of a connection. Let's get some actors up here and see if we can practice some of these things. Candy, come on in and meet Joey Paul. Just a second. Before you start, take a deep breath. Inhale, exhale, do something to relax. You see, before you go in, when you reach for that imaginary door and you're thinking, oh my God, she's gonna hate me, you have control over that. Instead, when you reach for that door, how about thinking, I like her already? So you walk in, you're relaxed, and you're confident. Meet Joey Paul.
Hi, Joey.
Hi, Candy. How you doing?
Good.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too. Hey. Yeah.
Thank you.
This is me. Thanks for taking the time to see me.
My pleasure. Well, I'd say that looks like you.
Thanks.
That's a good start, huh?
Yeah, that's what they say anyway.
Is that naturally curly hair?
It is. I just started wearing it like this. Actually, I've been blowing it out all my life and decided I needed to change. And so...
I hate you.
Are you one that wants your hair curly forever?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just pin straight, so.
Your hair doesn't look straight, though. You look like you have a lot of body in it.
It's a lot of effort.
Yeah. Well, I'd give you some of this if I could, believe me.
You might want to think about getting an alternate picture as well with your hair curly, just so you have the versatility of both.
Good. Okay, I just started wearing it like this, and I thought that would probably be a wise thing to do.
Yeah,
Thanks.
definitely. Some nice theater on your resume.
Yeah, I just, what's not on there that I just finished working on was Barry Moses' bar mitzvah.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about
Yeah.
that. I wanted to get to see it.
It's silly. It's silly, very silly. Did you see either Tony Tina's Wedding or Tamara?
I did.
Did you like those?
Yeah, very much. As a matter of fact, years ago did a performance piece that was similar to the way those pieces are done in an environmental theater piece.
Interacting.
Right.
Well, it's kind of popular now, I guess, with the murder mysteries and things. And Barry Moses is
Let's
kind
stop
of a
here for a
cross.
second, shall we? This is a good interview. You see, what happened is when you began, we got into the conversation about the hair, which you very nicely transferred onto her, and everything picked up at that point. After that, it kind of went downhill a little bit when Joey was looking at the resume, and the question and answers were rather businesslike and not really connected. But after that, by bringing it back to her and by talking about, you know, what have you seen, what have you done, you were able to get back again the friendly atmosphere in the interview. Okay, how did it feel for you?
I think there's always going to be a little natural spot in there where there's a little bit of a lull, because you have to allow the casting director to get a feel of who you are, and you should feel comfortable about allowing that space to occur and not feel anxious about what should I say next. So she did something really nice, though. While I was looking at her resume, she took the opportunity to help the segue by saying what's not on there is such and such, so that, you know, and she addressed something new that's going on with her right now, as opposed to just sort of sitting there silently while I was perusing her resume. So that helped, because otherwise it would have been just dead silence, because for me, I needed to get a feel of who she was.
That's what you mean about taking control over the interview, then.
Absolutely.
All right,
Yeah.
good. Thank you, Kendi.
You're welcome. Thank you, Joey.
Thank you.
See you later.
All right.
Dean, let's have you come up and meet Joey Paul. Don't forget to breathe.
Thank you. Much better.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Dean. Okay.
So,
This looks like you. Do you have
Thanks.
photos with your glasses too?
yeah, I do. Mostly my commercial headshots have my glasses on in them.
Do you need your glasses, or can you work without them? Or?
Well, I have contact lenses, but I had this thing with my eye that was bugging me. I just said, you know, forget the contacts for a while until I get new ones. And then, you know, if they want the glasses off, I can take them off. I can't see the cue cards, but, you know.
Okay. Where are you from originally?
Encino.
A native? A native Californian. I never knew what one looked like.
I was raised by a pack of wild Jews in Encino. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Chicago, the Midwest.
Chicago. My dad's from Waukegan.
Is he?
Yeah.
Wow. That's not too far from where I grew up.
Let's stop a second. All right, good. You okay?
I'm fine.
We had that little awkwardness at the beginning of the interview. Might help if there were an attitude, maybe even something that you know about Joey that you want to talk about. I saw the last thing you cast. I loved it. Something like that that'll get you over that awkward hump at the beginning of it.
What if I don't know the last thing she cast?
Good idea to walk into an interview being prepared.
Ah.
Get as much information as you can. Of course, then we got real comfortable and casual with where you're from. I love the
You think
joke.
he looks comfortable?
You have a problem with the position, huh, Joey?
No, I mean, I don't, because I feel, you know, if that's what works for him, it works for him because he was confident about doing it. However, there might be some executives or casting directors he'd meet who'd be a little taken aback by his instant comfortability. But he does it with such charm and relaxed confidence that it kind of works. You know, he comes in with this quirkiness, and it works.
So the feet on the chair can work for Dean, but maybe not for everybody, right?
It depends on the casting director. See, for me, it would be fine, but he didn't necessarily take a moment to size me up to see how I might respond to something like that.
All right. Thanks, Dean.
Thank you. Should I take this and...
No, I'll keep it.
Please.
Joey, thank you so much for coming down. That was
Thank
very
you.
helpful.
My pleasure.
What if it's not going well in the audition itself? You're there, you're doing your cold reading, and you feel as though you're going down like the Titanic. Change. Really. Stop. Make a sound that expresses how you're feeling. You, right then at that moment, or laugh, or take a breath, and change. Go in the other direction. Don't think about it, just do it. What you do then is you stop thinking, oh God, this is terrible, and you start just doing something, behaving as that character. Maybe it's illogical. Who knows? You might hit on something, and even if it's wrong, you can change it again. But at least you're in control. And finally, when it's all over, when you turn in the script, you thank them, and you're ready to go out with confidence. That was one marvelous audition. Believe it. Or if you can't, at least fake it. Break a leg.
Well, that's the class. Did you learn some things? Think about it. Then practice these techniques, and you will improve.
Now that you've seen the class, let's hear it from the point of view of some of Hollywood's top casting directors. Find out what they look for in an actor. Where do they go to discover new talent? What makes a star? Training, showcases, photos, questions, callbacks. All this and more on the next video in the Actors at Work series, Casting Directors Tell It Like It Is.
Believe it or not, you can usually tell right then what kind of reading it's going to be. A lot of it has to do with if they're bringing the love of the art into the room with them. And all of that entails, meaning preparation, you know, that they really study a scene and know the scene.
He was just ready to go. I mean, there was just no holding him back. He was going to read it anyway, anyhow, on his head, in a closet, it didn't matter. And you had to sit back and take notice. There was no way you could take your eyes off of him.
What did he do? What was there about him?
You would think that in film they'd want you to do it exactly the same way, time after time after time after time. They're all waiting for that magic, that little magical accident that happens, that little piece of improv, that little something that you add on one of the takes that just makes the whole thing a piece of magic.
Yeah, I don't think you can sit back and think just because you're a good actor that at any point in time you can just push the button and make it happen.
I'm Joel Asher. As a director and an acting coach, I work with actors at all stages of their careers. It's just about impossible to have a professional acting career without an agent. They have access to the jobs. But who are these people who have such power? How can you get one to represent you? Who is the right agent for you? How do they get you work? We asked these and other questions of a variety of agents in Los Angeles. Agents. Tell it like it is. We talked to Peter Gianni, Vice President of the David Shapira Agency, who represent primarily stars and other top professionals.
To me, the fun of being an agent is first believing in all your clients and then going out and convincing everybody else that you're right, and you know, getting them the job.
We went to Abrams, Rubaloff, and Lawrence, one of the largest commercial agencies, and talked to Pat Dawson there.
Once they're assigned, then the job is up to us. Okay? We work for the actors.
What do you do?
We get that picture out as much as possible. We will phone pitch them as much as possible and get them as much activity as humanly possible. That is our job.
We visited with Janine Cosden, who with her husband Bob runs the Cosden Agency, a kind of boutique agency that has a select list of special clients.
I call them at night if I have to, and they feel free to call me. That's the way I'd like to be treated.
Okay.
And I treat them like I want to be treated if they were my agent.
We also met with Ed Adler of the agency, one of the most respected organizations in the field.
I wouldn't necessarily believe everything that's written about every agency in there, especially if they say they're not seeking new talent, because all agents must find new talent. That's what this business is about.
Finally, we spoke to Steve Stevens of Gerler Stevens & Associates, a two-man agency representing primarily supporting players.
How does a newcomer get started?
Not very easily in today's market, but if you have the talent and you're ready, meaning you've got your answering service, you've got some pictures, you've got some resumes, you've got some credits. Now, you don't have to be a professional. The only difference, I think, between an amateur and professional is somebody who's been paid for a job.
You will note that these working agents sometimes agree with each other and sometimes disagree. Every relationship is different. This tape should help you find the agent that works for you.